Greetings, Council of the North listeners. It's Andrew, and I wanted to do a hobby vlog on the display board I made. First hobby vlog on the channel. Hopefully we'll get some more from me and the other two guys. I think it's good painting content or tea sipping content, however you like. Like I said, I made a display board. This is my first big display board or any kind of really terrain building I've done. And I wanted to showcase it because you may have seen it at some tournaments in the OSPGL, but I feel like it's a bit much to view during the 10 to 15 minutes you have when you're placing your vote for like a best painted or a best display or something like that. You don't really get to absorb it. You just see a big board and go, wow, cool, and you move on. Which is totally understandable, and I would do the same thing. But I wanted to take some time to actually show off the work that I've done. In-depth look. I'll go into all the little details, get some close-ups, and we can look at some of the models I have had painted for it, and that I painted specifically for completing this display board as well. Some of the techniques I used. Some things I've learned. There's a lot I'm not happy with this board, but I did it in a week before going to Lindsay to Wilshoff's tournament. It took about 70 to 80 hours, if I had to guess. It was a lot of my week spent working on this. So please have a look and let me know what you think in the comments below. Likes, dislikes. Happy to hear criticism or any helpful tips from pro terrain builders. So this is the board. This is a Khazad-dûm theme display board that I made. As we can see right off the bat, we'll just jump into negatives. I'm not happy with the edges of the board. That is one thing that, I wasn't happy with. The people that came and said, it's great, except, this doesn't look great, and it doesn't. I have some solutions for it. People are saying plaster or just cardstock. I have some other ideas. We'll see how it's going to turn out. But yes, before anyone says anything, I'm not happy with that. One of the few things I'm not happy with, but I think it does really degrade the sort of presence of the board. When you think of those old school GW boards, they're pristine all around, and this is like a very glaring issue with it, but there are solutions. So we have a little scene of a mountain with a doorway and some dwarves and Goblinses doing battle on the outside of this cave. I hear some dwarven rangers that I painted up specifically for this board, and they got eyeballs, you can see, which was pretty tough, but good practice. Dwarven Rangers on the outside because they're Rangers, and also great to use in Khazad-dûm for longbows. I got these little tufts here from Woodland Scenics, and here you can see I have got some dead leaves under this tree, and these are just little like pine cone, basically. It's just the long skinny pine cones that we have here in Canada. I'm sure there are other places too. Not the big round ones you see on like Christmas wreaths or whatnot. These are long skinny ones, and they just flake apart when they're all dry like this. And I was just outside walking my dog looking for materials to use, and I saw, oh, this is perfect for leaves. And I think they turned out pretty good and miraculously stayed glued onto the board, which I was not expecting. When I was gluing them down, I thought this was all going to fall apart. But they stayed on. I also have these little flowers here that I think look quite good. And I also just found these on the ground. Literally never seen this plant before in my life. But now that I have picked it and used it, I'm noticing it on the ground. It's amazing what you can find when you look at stuff on the ground. And then of course the tree. There's a massive tree I just totally ignored. That's just a stick. I shoved it into the board and just started gluing on. I glued on some other twigs higher up on the stick, and then just glued on a old hot glue gun. And it turned out okay. I only burned myself 3 times. Be careful, watch your fingers. Moving on over here, some rocks, a nice little cliff edge here. Please ignore the shaky camera work. I feel like this part of the board needed something instead of it just being open. And I was basing my, or I guess my influence here was a very similar dwarf themed board in an old source book, one of the old dwarf source books, I guess Dwarf and Goblins. And I noticed they had some little ridges and edges, and I thought that this would look quite nice just to break up the scenery, make it a little bit more interesting. We'll do a little zoom in here. You can see just how I did the rocks. This is all foam, like foam you get at your hardware store. It's not too expensive. It does get a little bit pricey, especially when you build an entire mountain and then hate it and go back to the hardware store and have to buy all new foam. But yes, so this is all just torn apart like with a knife or with the sharp metal ruler is really good because you just kind of stick it in there and pull, and you get all these little cracks and fragments that you can chip away at with your hand or with a knife. And you get this nice rock looking effect. I think it looks quite good. You also see some horizontal lines. When I've heard someone on YouTube say to do that, I thought they were crazy and I was ruining my board when I tried it, but it does create a really nice effect we'll see on some other rocks as well. This is just straight up painted black and dry brush with 3 grays: Mechanicus Standard, Dawnstone, and Administratum. And then it's a little hard to tell, but you can see there's a little bit of green and yellow effect on the rocks. That is just super, super watered down greens, and then I spotted on some yellow. I feel like the yellow didn't really come through, but it does look a little bit mossy. I think it does give it a little bit of effect of moss, and that the rock lives outside. It's not a freshly made rock put there on a display board. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've got some bushes here. Some of them I just use flock, same flock as the tree. And then, like I said, these are woodland scenic ones as well. Some of these tall grass. I've mixed in some tall grass here with some of these little dead flowers that I found on the ground. This one I quite like. I think it looks quite nice. I've found some dried out, they're kind of like reeds, I guess, that kind of worked out as logs as well. That looks good. I kind of like that, even though it's not painted. I think the colors are kind of match enough. And yeah, I'm happy with how all the terrain and all the grass and bits turned out. There's also some tufts hidden in here, 2 different kinds of tufts, just to give some variety and mix up from the flock. Yeah, I was noticing, looking at other people's display boards online and some GW ones, that if you just lay down a bunch of flock, it looks bad. It looks awful. You got to break it up with paths and different bushes and different textures, different colors. And I think I achieved that. And it's rocks, of course, as well. There's also a bunch of little smaller rocks in here as well. Next, we can take a look at some goblins here. You can see I've got a legit Warg Marauder there that I bought for way too much money way back in the day when you couldn't get these. As a shaman, and facing off some Dwarven Rangers, some Iron Guard. You can see the Mines of Moria piece door there. Here you can see a sort of better look at some of the bigger rocks and how the cliff face looks. And you can see those horizontal lines and the colors. And I have like a few like little handfuls of slightly larger rocks than what I've used on the ground. sort of falling down to make it look like it's sort of like a living mountain instead of like I just chopped it up. So these different effects, trying to get pieces overlapping on top or coming out underneath. I've really leaned on the source book, the GW source book, for a lot of these shapes. I didn't achieve anything close to what they had, but it was a good starting point. And yeah, you can see, there you can kind of see the more green effect on some of those rocks. Some goblins. There's a converted goblin I've got. He's a bowman, but he's a sword and shield guy with a bow on his back now, which I like that conversion. Yeah, some more Dwarven Rangers. And that's it for this side of the board. We're going to move on. We're going to spin it around and look at what I've done on the back. This is the back of the board, so inside the cave. You can see through the little doorway there that I glanced over. There's a big crevice running down the middle with a bridge. And here we can see some more goblins, another converted warrior goblin there, facing off against some Iron Guard, Khazad Guard, Captain. It's a Prowler there, and that's the converted shaman. Shout out to Tim Cole, who helped me do that many, many years ago. It's my freshly painted Dwarven Ballista and some bats, if you've been following along on the Council of the North Instagram. And I dug in a little Mines of Moria little train piece there. And yeah, there's the bats, and I have some LEDs running under the bridge as well. Another little surprise we'll look at later. Yeah, this side's a little bit more plain. I do like the crevice. You can see Groblog and some Prowlers. But I think it's okay being more plain. I can fit a lot more models on here, and the models kind of do the talking. The crevice turned out pretty good. There's lots of little ledges and different levels and rocks. You can see a Druzag and a drummer. Just trying to show off all the my collection of Moria and Khazad-dûm models that I have. King's Champion, of course, and here's an old metal cave troll that I painted up that I'm quite happy with. I think I posted on the OSPG a long time ago, years ago. Oh, he's having a little dance. We'll spin her around. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with them. Some things I would change, but I do like how like fleshy and fat he looks. He's got a gut. A few too many cheeseburgers. Yeah, he turned out not too bad. Definitely would make some changes now, but I'm not going to go back. Here we have the dwarf himself, Durin, the Deathless, who the lighting isn't great here, unfortunately, but quite happy with him. His beard turned out quite good. And some of my Khazad Guard. Fun fact, I have 18 painted up Khazad Guard, which I did run last edition, which was a lot of fun. And here's Mard and some Vault Wardens, and the Balrog, facing off against the Balrog. Like I said, this part of the board is a little more plain, but there's some neat effects we'll go into here in a second. So after I took this to a tournament, I realized that people like effects. So yeah, as you can see, I've worked in some LEDs under the bridge, and there's even a little smoke machine built into the board. It has a little diffuser so that it sort of this fog will sink down. It's literally like the cheapest vape ever. It was like 30 or 40 bucks off of Amazon. They were trying to advertise it for like dance parties and stuff. People were like, oh, this is terrible, but for what I'm doing, it's pretty perfect. There you can see the little diffuser, and there's a hose in there poking out right under the bridge. And you can see the smog, unfortunately, fog, smoke, whatever. It goes to one side. I don't know why. When you really fill it up, it does spread out eventually. But yeah, not ideal. It's not ideal. It works much better when you're holding it in your hand. and you can sort of place the smoke down, but that's kind of cheating. It's not part of the board. I'm adding it to the board. So I wanted to build it in, and this is what we got. It's okay. And like I said, the lights and the smoke machine were added on after the first event I took it to. So that involved tipping the board on its side and getting a drill and drilling through the bottom of it, because the bottom layer is a piece of wood, which was terrifying. I lost a lot of flock, but I don't think it's actually that noticeable. I think it's actually okay. And so I drilled through the wood and then drilled through the foam, and then just kind of did some carving with the knife to make this little entrance under the bridge where I could string the LEDs and the tube with the diffuser. And then I laid that all on top of 2 more pieces of foam, and I cut out the layer of foam touching the piece of wood with a little, it's like a little home. It has the rest of the LEDs, it has the fog machine, and it has a portable battery so that I can leave it all plugged in and it's all going to be charged up throughout the duration of the event that I'm at. Which is pretty cool. It's nice. I don't have to plug this into a wall or anything. It's just all self-contained, which is what I wanted. And it turned out pretty good. You can see in some of the clips where I have the smoke going for a while and I've blown on it a little bit. It starts to look okay. What I found was at the event I was at, the air conditioning was on, people were walking around, and it actually poofed up the smoke a little bit more. So you still had that stream of smoke, but a lot of it was getting dispersed up into the air as well, right underneath the Balrog, and it turned out quite cool. And then the LEDs just adding a little bit of extra effect. And that's the tour of my display board. Again, I'm fairly happy with it. There's a few things which I pointed out which I'm not, but the next one I make, I think I'll be taking these lessons with me, and it'll turn out a little bit better, a little bit less going backwards, and a smoother process overall. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask me, leave a comment. While you're at it, drop a like and a subscribe to our council channel of the North. And I hope you enjoyed that. Have a lovely morning, evening, or night, wherever you are.